Before this story begins, I need you to do something. Think of the person in your life who is always there. You know exactly who I am talking about. The one whose phone you call at midnight. The one who shows up without being asked. The one who finds money from somewhere when there's none. Who carries worry that was never theirs to carry. Who holds the family together so quietly and so completely that nobody ever stops to ask what it is costing them. The one everyone calls the strong one. Now, ask yourself honestly, when last did you sit that person down and ask them, what do you need? What did you give up? What does it cost you to be the one who never breaks? If you went quiet just now, pay attention to that silence, because the person in this story was that person. Her name is Lerato, and she gave everything. Not sometimes, not when it was convenient, everything. Her money, her time, her sleep, her youth, her ambitions, her future. She fed all of it into the machine of her family's survival until there was almost nothing of herself left inside her own life. And she did it with love. Genuine, deep, unguarded love. That is what makes this story so devastating. Because she was not a martyr performing sacrifice for people who would eventually be grateful. She was a daughter who believed with everything in her that this was simply what love looked like. That going last was not a punishment, it was a virtue. That one day, when the season of sacrifice was over, life would finally begin. She waited and waited and kept waiting until the day she came home early with lamb she had bought to cook for the man she loved and walked into a truth she had been refusing to see for months. Her sister tangled in bed with her fiancé. That is where the story begins. But to understand what that moment did to her, you need to understand the full weight of what Lerato had been carrying before the betrayal arrived. Because the betrayal alone is not the story. The story is what had already been taken from her long before that day.
Welcome to Folktales by Oma, where African stories come alive and every tale teaches the heart. Before we begin, join the family, tap subscribe.
There is a specific kind of silence that lives in a house after a coffin leaves it. It is not the silence of peace. It is not the silence of rest. It is a silence that sits in the corners of rooms and watches you, waiting to see who will crack first, who will pick up the pieces, who will look around at the wreckage of a life badly managed and decide, without being asked, to start cleaning. Lerato Dlamini was 18 years old when she learned what that silence wanted from her. Her father, Joseph Dlamini, had been buried on a cold Johannesburg Thursday in a coffin borrowed from the church deacon because the family couldn't afford one outright. He had been a man of enormous warmth and catastrophic financial judgment. The kind of man who loaned money he didn't have to friends who never repaid him, who signed papers he didn't fully read, who believed with genuine sincerity that God rewarded good intentions regardless of balance sheets. He was loved at his funeral, genuinely, tearfully loved. But 3 creditors showed up at the reception afterward. One of them, a heavy-set man in a brown suit who had the audacity to eat 2 plates of the funeral food first, pulled Lerato aside near the kitchen door and asked, with the politeness of someone who knew it wasn't polite, when the family intended to begin repayments. Lerato was 18. She had never signed a single document in her life. She looked at this man and felt something settle inside her. Not courage, not anger, something quieter than both. A kind of terrible clarity, the clarity of a person who has just understood, completely and without the mercy of ambiguity, that no one is coming. She said, "Give me some time." Not "speak to my mother," not "I'll have someone call you." "Give me some time." The man nodded and left, and Lerato went back into the kitchen and finished washing the dishes from the funeral because someone had to. Her mother, Nomsa Dlamini, known along University Road as Mama Dlamini, known at home as the woman who had built Mama's kitchen from a borrowed pot and a card table into a proper buka with 3 gas burners and a loyal student following, had loved her husband the way certain women love difficult men, completely, exhaustingly, and at tremendous personal cost. When he died, she grieved him the way she had loved him, completely, exhaustingly, and then she simply stopped. Not dramatically, not in a way that announced itself, she just began sitting in her chair longer than she stood at the stove. She began sending Lerato to the market just this once every morning until once became always. She developed knee pain, real probably because grief lives in the body too, and the knee pain became her answer to most questions about the buka. By the 3rd month after the funeral, Mama Dlamini had not been to the buka in 11 days. Lerato had. Every single one. Here is what Lerato's day looked like at 18 years old, and 19, and 20, and 21, and on like a sentence that forgot to end. 4:35 a.m. Alarm. The specific darkness of Johannesburg before sunrise. Not peaceful, not romantic, just dark and cold and requiring a jacket. She dressed in the kitchen so she wouldn't wake the others. 4:45 a.m. The market on Commissioner Street, where she had learned which vendors gave honest weight and which ones required watching. She carried 2 bags that left red lines on her palms by the time she got back. 6 a.m. The buka's gas burners hissing to life, pots going on. Jollof rice first, it needed the longest. Then the stew. Then the fried plantain that the engineering students requested specifically, that one boy once said tasted like his grandmother's, and then went quiet and stared at his plate for a moment. She noticed things like that. She always noticed. 11 to 2. Lunch crowd. Students, lecturers, construction workers from the various sites that ring the university like a permanent renovation. She served, she collected money, she managed the small notepad where she tracked who owed her 20 rand and who always paid first. She talked to people because silence at a food stall drove customers away, and she smiled because smiling was good business even when nothing was funny. 2:35 p.m. Dishes, counting, restocking the gas canister if needed, which was always an argument with the supplier. 4:35 p.m. Change clothes, take a taxi to Bramfontein. 5 p.m. Pristine serve, office buildings that smelled of carpet cleaner and recycled air. She mopped floors that reflected the ceiling lights back at her like pale mirrors. She emptied the bins of people who earned more in a month than she saw in a year, whose desk held framed photographs of holidays she had never taken. She cleaned their coffee rings and their forgotten receipts, and she did it thoroughly because she was not the kind of person who did things halfway even when no one was watching. 10 p.m. Taxi home. 10:40 p.m. Eat whatever was left. Check the next day's shopping list. Sleep. 4:35 a.m. Begin again. She was doing this, all of this, while paying her sister Nadeli's college preparatory fees, then her University of Johannesburg enrollment, then her brother Sipo's first year in engineering at the same university, then his second, then her sister's second year, then Sipo's third. You understand? She was the floor. She was the invisible load-bearing structure underneath a family that stood on her without knowing or caring to know what was beneath them. And here is the thing that will break your heart if you let it. She had plans. On her phone, a cracked screen Samsung she had had for 3 years because a new one wasn't a priority, she kept a notes app. And in that notes app, buried beneath her shopping lists and bill tracking tables and reminder alarms, was a folder she had named simply Mine. In that folder were sketches, not photographs. She didn't have a drawing tablet or even good paper, but descriptions, detailed, precise, almost architectural descriptions of designs that lived in her head, color palettes, silhouette ideas, concepts for a brand that she had imagined in her head but never spoken aloud. Lerumola, a Sesotho word. It means the one who enlightens. She opened that folder sometimes at 4 a.m. before the pots went on. Just for a few minutes, just to remember she had an interior life, that she was a person with wants and visions and a particular eye for beauty that had nowhere to go yet. Yet, she was saving that word like money. Her sister, Nadeli, moved through university the way beautiful, charismatic young women do when someone else is paying for everything. lightly, delightedly, with the full confidence of a person who has never been asked to calculate the cost of their own lightness. She posted pictures on Instagram from campus events. She talked about the media industry with the authority of someone who had not yet entered it. She borrowed Lerato's earrings without asking and returned them sometimes. Her brother, Sipo, was more grateful, or at least more guilty, which presents similarly. He called Lerato on her birthday every year without fail. He sometimes sent her voice notes saying he saw what she was doing and he appreciated. He came home for holidays and helped with the buka on some days, and Lerato told herself that counted, even though she knew it didn't quite. Amamad Lamili prayed for all of them, loudly, daily, and from her chair. Lerato turned 26 in August. She celebrated by buying herself a slice of milk tart from the bakery near the buka and eating it alone in the empty stall at 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon, while the city moved around her without caring. She didn't feel sorry for herself. She had stopped doing that somewhere around 23. Self-pity was a luxury that required time she didn't have. But sitting there with her milk tart and the distant sound of the university's 2 o'clock bell, she allowed herself one question, the question she normally kept behind the wall, the one she only let out when she was sure no one could see it. Is this it? Is this the whole shape of my life? She sat with the question. She didn't answer it. She wrapped the rest of the tart for later, washed her hands and went back to work. 3 weeks later, on a Tuesday that looked like every other Tuesday, the answer walked into her buka and ordered beans and plantain.
His name was Darius Osi, and the first thing Lerato noticed about him was his hands. She noticed hands the way architects notice roof lines, professionally, involuntarily, as an assessment of structure. Years of watching people eat had taught her that hands told the truth about a person long before their mouth did. Nervous hands fidgeted with napkins, entitled hands snapped fingers, distracted hands scrolled phones at the table, sad hands held cups too tightly. Darius's hands were still, resting on the counter while he read the menu board with the unhurried focus of a man who approached most things with genuine attention. Engineer's hands, not soft, not rough, calibrated. The hands of someone who spent his days measuring things carefully because the cost of being wrong was structural. "What do you recommend?" he asked. She told him beans and fried plantain. He ordered it. He moved to the small side table and ate it the way she wished more people would eat. Present, like the food deserved to be tasted, not just consumed. When he brought back the empty plate, he said, "That is the best plate of food I have eaten since I came to Johannesburg." Lerato looked at him for 1 second. "How long have you been in Johannesburg?" 4 months. "Then you haven't eaten enough Johannesburg food yet," she said. "Come back." He laughed. It was a real laugh, sudden, unguarded. The laugh of a man who found things genuinely funny rather than performing amusement. He came back. For 2 months, he came back. And in the small geography of a lunch counter and a side table, they built something. Not deliberately, neither of them was looking for a construction project. It assembled itself the way real things do, incrementally, organically, one conversation added to the previous one until the structure was load-bearing before they'd agreed to build anything. He told her about growing up between Accra and Cape Town, the particular dislocation of a child who belongs to 2 places and therefore sometimes feels like he belongs fully to neither. She told him, carefully, not everything, but something true about her father's death and the buka and the way her life had been arranged around other people's needs for so long, she sometimes had to consciously remind herself she had needs too. He didn't respond to that with pity. He responded with a question. "What do you actually want?" She looked at him steadily. "Nobody's asked me that in a very long time." "I know, that's why I'm asking." She told him about the mine folder on her phone, about Lerumola, about the design she described in words because she hadn't had time to properly draw them. He listened to all of it without the expression people got when they were waiting for a pause so they could speak. He listened like someone taking measurements. After that conversation, something shifted in the quality of air between them. The thing that had been assembling itself quietly became something they were now consciously choosing. He waited for her after her evening shift sometimes, his car parked outside the Braunfontaine building, interior light on, reading something on his tablet. She cooked for him on Sunday afternoons and watched him eat with the same attention he gave to all things, and felt for the first time in years that she was being seen. Not as the buka woman, not as the family provider, not as the responsible one, as Lerato, just Lerato. A woman with beautiful hands and a folder full of unlived dreams and a laugh that didn't come out often but was worth waiting for. 1 year after the beans and plantain, on a Sunday afternoon while she was peeling butternut, the domestic unglamour of it was the most honest part. He came and stood in the kitchen doorway and said her name in a way that made her put down the peeler. He didn't have a rehearsed speech. He had a ring, gold, one small diamond, chosen with the precision of a man who understood proportion. And he had words that came from somewhere she could feel rather than just hear. I have watched you carry things that would have broken other people. I'm not here to carry them for you. You don't need that. I'm here because I want to stand next to you while you put some of them down, if you will let me. She held the ring in her hand for a long time before putting it on. Then she cried. Then she told him that was embarrassing. Then she cried some more. The family dinner was the best evening Lerato had experienced in that house since before her father died. Even Mama Dlamini came out of her chair with an energy that suggested genuine joy rather than performance. Sipo was warm and real, clapping Darius on the shoulder with the ease of a man welcoming someone into a circle. Naledi was 22 and luminous, talking quickly, laughing easily, turning the room warmer just by being in it. Lerato sat in the middle of her family with her new ring on her finger and felt something she didn't fully trust because she had been disappointed too many times. She felt safe. 2 months later, Naledi called. Conflict with her campus roommate. Could she stay with Lerato for a little while? Lerato said yes before she had finished hearing the question. The apartment in Cresta had a second room. She'd been using it for storage mostly, bolts of fabric she'd bought cheaply and never found time to cut. She cleared it, put a proper bed in, bought new curtains. Naledi moved in with 2 suitcases, a ring light on a tripod, and an Instagram following of 12,000 people who came to watch her discuss African fashion, music, and campus life with the fluency of someone who had been practicing being watched. The first month was fine. Darius was there almost every evening. He had essentially been living with Lerato for the better part of 6 months now, their lives quietly interlocked in the way of people who have committed to each other before the ceremony has been arranged. He was good with Naledi in the way Lerato had hoped, kind, brotherly, treating her with the easy warmth of someone welcoming a family member rather than managing a house guest. She watched them interact and told herself a story. The story was, this is good. The story was, he's making an effort with her family. This is what she wanted. The story was, don't be one of those women who poisons good things with suspicion. She told herself this story well. She told it with conviction. She was, after all, very practiced at overriding what she noticed in favor of what she needed to be true. But truth is not a polite thing. It doesn't wait for a convenient time. She began noticing, really noticing, against her will, small things. The energy in a room recalibrated when she walked in from an evening shift, a conversation ending a bit too quickly, both of them looking toward her with the slightly overperformed naturality of people who have just adjusted their expressions. Naledi's laughter, bright, untamed, the laugh she used when she was performing delight for an audience, coming from the living room during evenings when Lerato was not home. Inside references in conversations that assumed a shared time Lerato had not been present for. She was not an unobservant woman. She was a woman who spent 8 years tracking 20 variables simultaneously before the sun came up. She noticed everything. She just kept deciding not to act on what she noticed until the Thursday. She'd gotten the call at 6:40 from her building manager. Early finish tonight, building closing for a maintenance issue. She'd been at the butcher by 7:15, the leg of lamb in white paper under her arm, already composing the dish in her head. Garlic, rosemary, the braai seasoning Darius' mother gave him that he kept in a specific corner of her spice rack. Long, slow heat. She was making it as a gesture, not for a special occasion, for a Tuesday, because she loved him and she wanted him to feel it on an ordinary day. And that is a particular kind of love that doesn't get enough credit. She used her key. The lights were low. She set the lamp on the kitchen counter. She heard something. Every woman who has ever had this experience will tell you the same thing. The body knows before the mind allows itself to know. Her stomach dropped. Her hands went still. And for 3 full seconds, she stood in the hallway and simply breathed, taking a last breath inside the life she had before she turned the corner. She turned the corner. Her bedroom, her bed. Darius, Naledi. The lamp fell from the counter.
She did not scream. This is the part people find hardest to understand when she described it later, the absence of screaming. They expected shattered plates, broken things, the full operatic range of a woman rightfully destroyed. But Lerato had spent 8 years learning that when the worst happens, you breathe first. You breathe because survival has always required her to keep her body functional before processing what her heart was doing. She breathed. Then she walked to the kitchen, sat down on the floor with her back against the cabinet, and waited. They came out eventually. Darius first, dressed, face configured into an expression Lerato had never seen on him before, something between guilt and the relief of a person whose secret has finally stopped requiring maintenance. Naledi behind him, wrapped in the blanket from Lerato's bed, her eyes doing the thing eyes do when they are building a case before the mouth has begun arguing it. Lerato looked at them both from the kitchen floor. She didn't stand. She was going to conduct this conversation from the ground because she had earned the right to choose the terms. "How long?" she said. Not loud, not shaking. Darius told her, 6 months, almost from the first week Naledi had moved in. 6 months of looking at Lerato across the dinner table. 6 months of learning her sister's laugh. 6 months of sleeping next to the woman he claimed to love while... She stopped the thought. Let it go. "And you," she said to Naledi. Naledi met her eyes with a steadiness that, in another context, might have been admirable. "Lerato, don't," Lerato said softly. "Just tell me the truth. You owe me that much." A silence. Then Darius said the thing. The sentence that had been living underneath everything apparently, underneath all his warmth and patience and "I want to stand next to you while you put things down." The sentence that explained what Lerato had actually been to him. "I love you, I do, but I need someone who matches me, educationally, professionally, someone who can walk into certain rooms with me and hold her own. Naledi," he stopped, recalibrated. "I didn't plan this." Lerato was quiet for a very long time. She was thinking about the beans and plantain, about how he'd asked what she recommended, about how she thought, this is a man who respects the opinion of the person serving him. She was thinking about how wrong she had been about what that meant. She was thinking about a man who would eat at the table of a woman's labor, call it the best he'd ever tasted, ask him to marry her, and then decide the woman herself wasn't quite enough. She looked up at him. "Get out of my house," she said. "Both of you, tonight." They left. Naledi packed both suitcases with a speed that told Lerato she had already known this was coming, had perhaps already found alternative arrangements. Darius took his jacket, his tablet charger, and the braai seasoning from the corner of the spice rack. He paused at the door. "I'm sorry," he said. Lerato said nothing. She was looking at the lamb on the counter, still in its white paper, still cold, still waiting to be made into something. The phone calls were the second betrayal. In some ways, the worst one. She called her mother first. She told the story plainly, without performance, the way you tell a story when you want the person to understand what actually happened rather than how you feel about it. Mama Dlamini listened, and then she sighed, the particular sigh of a woman who had already decided what she thought and was now letting the telling of the story wash over her without penetrating. You need to calm down. Naledi is young. Men, another sigh. These things happen in families. You don't want to destroy everything over something, Lerato repeated. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying you need to be the bigger person. You've always been the bigger person. There it is, Lerato thought. Even now, the job is mine. She called Sipo, who was 23 and employed now, working his first engineering position in a firm in Pretoria. Sipo, who called her his hero at his graduation and meant it, she had believed. Sipo said, Darius did what was wrong, 100%. But Lerato, Naledi is my sister. I can't just... She's my sister too, Lerato said. I know. But you know how Naledi is. She doesn't think sometimes. You can't hold a grudge against her permanently for... I paid for her degree, Sipo. A pause. I know that. Her first year, second year, third year, the laptop she needed, the field trip to Durban she said was compulsory, the dress for the media award ceremony her lecturer invited her to. I paid for all of it. I know, Lerato. And you're telling me you can't take my side? Another pause. Longer this time. The pause of a man who knows what he's doing is wrong and is going to do it anyway. I don't want the family to break apart, he said. She ended the call. 2 days of silence. Lerato moved through her apartment like a person cataloging damage, not frantically, but methodically. She ate when she was hungry, she slept when she could, she sat with the silence the way she'd learned to sit with difficult things, steadily, without rushing toward resolution. On the third day, Naledi called. And this is where the story makes the turn that changes everything. Lerato answered expecting an apology, even a partial one, even a, I know this was wrong, but... She was not looking for tears or theater, just acknowledgement, just a small, honest recognition that something sacred had been broken. Instead, Naledi spoke with the voice of someone who had spent 2 days constructing a case and was now presenting it. I understand that you're upset, but I need you to hear me. A breath. I never begged you to do what you did for this family. You made those choices. You decided to sacrifice your career, your life, your whatever. That was your decision. Nobody held a gun to your head. And now you want to use it as a weapon against me. Like we all owe you something because you chose to be a martyr. I'm not going to carry guilt for your choices, Lerato. I'm not. The line hummed between them. Lerato could hear Naledi breathing, could picture exactly the expression on her face, chin slightly raised, jaw set, the expression of a person who has convinced themselves that attack is the same as truth. She thought about the girl she'd been at 18, folding an acceptance letter into a small square and putting it in a drawer, not because somebody made her, because the alternative was her family unraveling and nobody else was going to stop it. She thought about 4:15 in the morning and palms lined with red bag marks. She thought about the graphic design diploma she had never taken, about Lerumola, about a folder called Mine on a cracked screen phone. She thought about all the years she had spent building a floor and how the people standing on it had never once looked down to see what it was made of. And then she thought something that surprised her with its quietness. I'm done explaining myself to people who have already decided what I'm worth, she said. Goodbye, Naledi. She ended the call. She sat for a very long time in her kitchen. Then she opened the notes app, opened the folder called Mine, and read through every entry, every color palette, every silhouette description, every fragment of Lerumola that had been waiting patiently in the dark for 8 years. She thought, what if? Not what if someday, not what if when things are easier, not what if when the family doesn't need me. What if now? What if right now, at 26 years old, with 11,000 Rand in her account,
and a broken engagement, and a family that had just shown her exactly where she ranked in their priorities. What if right now was the moment? What if the signal she had been watching for was this precise, shattering, ugly moment, and the question was only whether she was brave enough to read it correctly? She sat with that question until the sun went down. When she stood up, something in her posture had changed, not dramatically, not visibly, but internally, in the architecture of how she held herself. Something had shifted into place, like a building that has finally settled on its foundation. She went to the drawer in her bedroom, the bottom one, and she found what she'd put there 8 years ago, a folded square of paper, soft at the creases from years of being folded and refolded without being opened. Her acceptance letter to the graphic design program. She read it. She folded it again carefully and put it in her bag. Then she went to the kitchen, took the leg of lamb from where it still sat in its white paper, still cold, still waiting to be made into something, and made herself the best meal she'd had in months. She ate it slowly, present, like the food deserved to be tasted, like she deserved to taste it.
The Fashion and Garment Construction Program at the New Town Design School cost 8,000 Rand for 3 months. Lerato paid it on a Wednesday morning without hesitating, which surprised her. She had spent 8 years hesitating before every expenditure, calculating, justifying, measuring her own needs against everyone else's, with a scale that was always weighted against herself. This time, her hand did not pause over the transaction. Her body knew before her mind had finished deciding. She kept the booker running. She was not a person who abandoned things, and she was not about to start now. But she rearranged her schedule with the precision of someone who had been managing 20 variables before sunrise for the better part of a decade. Morning classes 3 days a week, the booker covered by a young woman from her neighborhood, Precious, 19, fast hands, good instincts, needed the work and the training in equal measure. Lerato stopped the evening office cleaning contract on the same Wednesday she enrolled. She had done that work for 8 years. She did not do it one more day. The first month at the school was the most humbling experience of her adult life, and her adult life had not been short of humbling experiences. The other students were younger, most of them between 19 and 23, several of them from families where sewing had been part of the household since childhood. They moved through the pattern cutting exercises with the fluid ease of people doing something their hands already knew. Lerato's hands were fast at cooking, fast at cleaning, fast at managing the particular physical logistics of a booker in full service. But they had to learn a new language now, and language takes time. She made mistakes. She unpicked seams she'd sewn wrong and started again. She miscalculated a dart on a bodice and had to ask the teacher to explain what she'd misunderstood, which she did without embarrassment because she had learned long ago that the cost of pretending to know something was always higher than the cost of admitting you didn't. She stayed late. She watched tutorials on her phone at night, pausing and replaying the hands of more experienced sewers, studying how they managed tension, how they read the grain of a fabric, how they thought about a body not as a shape to cover, but as a structure to honor. By the second month, something had shifted. Miss Tandeka, the course teacher, a woman in her early 50s who had spent 15 years making costumes for theatre productions and wedding houses across South Africa, whose eye for construction was both surgical and deeply intuitive, began stopping at Lerato station more often than the others. Not to correct, to watch. One afternoon, she stood behind Lerato for nearly a full minute, watching her work a French seam on a silk panel, and then said quietly, "You understand structure." Lerato looked up. "Most of the people who come through here understand decoration," Ms. Tandeka continued. "They want to make things that look beautiful. You're thinking about how the thing holds. That's different. That's the difference between a garment that photographs well and a garment that lasts 20 years and still fits the body of the woman who owns it." Lerato went home that evening and stood in her bathroom mirror. Just stood. Just looked. She had not done this, simply looked at herself without agenda, without the internal audit that usually accompanied self-examination, in so long that she had forgotten what her own face looked like when it wasn't performing anything. She looked tired around the eyes. She looked like a woman who had been somewhere difficult and come back from it. She looked, she decided, like someone who was going to be all right. Ezra Motsepe came to the Buka for the first time in November. He was with a colleague, both of them looking the way professionals look when they've escaped an office for 40 minutes and don't want to waste the freedom talking about work. He ordered the pap and chicken stew, ate it without fanfare, and on his way out stopped at the counter. "This is excellent," he said. Not performed, not trying to get something from the compliment, just accurate. "Thank you," Lerato said. He came back the following Wednesday, and the one after. By the fourth week, he introduced himself properly, which felt like a courtesy that the previous encounters had been building toward. Ezra worked for a non-profit called Mevela Panda Connect, an organization that spent its time doing the unglamorous essential work of connecting small township-based businesses with municipal and corporate procurement contracts. Businesses with the product, the skill, the scale, but not the paperwork, the network, the language of tenders and proposals that the formal economy required. "Most of the businesses I work with," he told her one afternoon, "have everything except access. The gap is in talent. It's never talent. It's documentation and introductions." Lerato looked at him carefully. "Why do you care about that?" He was quiet for a moment. "My mother ran a tailoring business out of our house in Soweto for 20 years. She was genuinely gifted, better than most people, charging 10 times what she charged. She never once had a formal client, only word of mouth. She retired with nothing because she never had anyone to help her build the infrastructure around what she already was." He paused. "So, that's why." Lerato thought about this for a long time after he left. He was not Darius. This was the first thing she had noticed and kept noticing. The not Darius-ness of him. Where Darius was warm and magnetic in the way of a man who had learned to be charming and found it useful, Ezra was simply consistent. He did not perform. He did not have an energy that required managing. He showed up the same way every time. Curious, present, unhurried. And this consistency, Lerato discovered, was one of the most attractive things she had ever encountered in a person. She was careful with him. Deliberately, consciously careful. She moved at the pace of someone who has been burned specifically by moving fast and has learnt the lesson in the most permanent possible way. She did not tell him everything about Darius. She did not tell him everything about her family. She offered things in portions, like a good cook serves, enough to satisfy, with more available for those who stayed. He stayed, and he did not push for more than she offered. He understood without being told that she was building trust like she built garments, carefully, from the foundation out, not the decoration in. One evening, 6 months after their first proper conversation, they sat on the small balcony of her Cresta apartment, the city laid out below them in its orange and white lights, and Lerato said something she had never said to anyone, including Darius, including herself. "I have been building everyone else's life for so long that I sometimes don't know what it feels like to want something for myself without immediately calculating whether I've earned the right to want it." Ezra was quiet. He had a quality she had come to rely on. He didn't rush to fill silences with comfort. He let things be what they were and trusted her to finish them. "And now?" he asked. She thought about the design school, about Miss Tandeka's words, "You understand structure," about the 12 clients she now had, women who came to her apartment for fittings, who left holding something that had been made specifically for the geography of their bodies and not adjusted from a standard pattern that assumed everyone was the same shape. She thought about the Instagram post, the fashion blogger's photo of the cobalt blue wrap dress Lerato had made for a client's 40th birthday, and the caption, "Custom by Lerato Dlamini, watch this name." 47,000 likes and a message inbox that had taken her 2 weeks to walk through. She thought about the brand name she had held privately for 8 years and finally, 3 weeks ago, had registered Le Rumola, official, on paper, real. "Now," she said, "I'm learning that wanting something for myself isn't something I have to justify. It just is, like breathing." Ezra looked at her the way she had once been afraid to be looked at, fully, directly, without the lens of what she could provide. "Yeah," he said, "like breathing." Lerato turned 29 in August. By then, Lerumola had outgrown her apartment. She had 22 active clients, a waiting list of 14 more, an informal partnership with a fabric supplier in Fordsburg who gave her wholesale rates because the quality of her work had become the best advertisement for his material, and a small workshop space in Newtown, a proper room, rented, with a cutting table, 2 industrial machines, and a large window that let in the specific quality of late afternoon Johannesburg light that Lerato had decided was her favorite light in the world. She had not reconciled with her family, not in the way that word usually means. She had called her mother, not to forgive or be forgiven, but to say something she needed said. I love you, and I am not coming back to the role I used to play. I will be your daughter, I will not be your flaw. Mama Dlamini cried. Lerato let her cry. She did not relent. She said goodbye warmly and meant it. She had called Sipo once 6 months later, on his birthday. The conversation was short and careful, 2 people navigating the aftermath of a building that had partially collapsed. There was affection under it, there was distance on top of it. She thought they would find their way eventually. She was no longer in a hurry. She did not call Naledi. Some doors you close from the outside and leave alone. Not from hatred. Hatred was a fire that needed feeding and she had nothing to give it. Simply from the clarity that certain relationships are defined by a dynamic that will not change, and maintaining them requires you to keep being who you were rather than who you're becoming. She had decided to become. On the evening of her 29th birthday, Ezra came to the workshop in Newtown. He brought food, not from her buka, which had passed into Precious's capable hands 6 months earlier and was doing well by all accounts. He'd cooked, badly, earnestly, with effort that was legible than the result. She ate it and said it was good. He looked at her. It's not. No, she agreed, but it was made with good intentions, and that changes the flavor a little. They sat on the cutting table with the city's last light coming through the big window, and Ezra put a small box between them. Not a ring box, a square box, the kind that holds a bracelet. Inside was a bracelet, gold, and on the inside of the band, engraved in small precise letters, Lerumola. Because he said, you were always this, even when you couldn't see it. She looked at the bracelet for a long time. She thought about a girl at 18 folding an acceptance letter into a small square and pushing it to the bottom of a drawer. She thought about 4:15 in the morning and bags that left red lines on her palms. She thought about a kitchen floor and a lamp in white paper and a sentence, I need someone who can walk into rooms with me, and the long, patient, necessary work of discovering that the rooms worth entering are the ones you build yourself. She slipped the bracelet onto her wrist. She held her arm up so the light caught it. Lerumola, the one who enlightens. Yes, she thought, that's right. That's exactly right. The window was still full of light. The city was still itself, loud and complex and indifferent and full of possibility. And Lerato Dlamini, 29 years old, sat in the middle of something she had built with her own hands, wearing her own name on her wrist, and let herself, for the first time in a very long time, simply be. It felt like breathing. It felt like enough. It felt, finally, like hers. They told her she wasn't educated enough. They said she was just a buka girl. Her own sister said she was never asked to sacrifice, like 8 years at a stove before sunrise was a hobby she chose for the pleasure of it. Her own mother asked her to be the bigger person, as if she hadn't been the biggest person in that family since she was 18 years old. And the man she loved looked at her across the kitchen of the life she was building and decided the woman who built it wasn't fit to live in it. But here is what none of them understood about Lerato Dlamini. You cannot hollow out a woman and be surprised when she fills herself back up. You cannot take everything from a person who knows how to build from nothing and expect them to stay broken. She didn't need saving. She needed a moment. Just one moment when no one was asking her for anything. And in that moment, she built a world. Watch the ones who do it quietly. They are always the ones who last.